Hi everybody, it's Michael Loudon here. I have not done a video in quite a long time on my channel, and if you may have noticed, I uploaded a YouTube short this past week. I bowled my first perfect game in my bowling career, a 300. 12 strikes in a row for an entire game. It was an incredible feat. I thought it was always possible I could do it. My average is right now 202. Last year I ended the season with a 200 average, and I've been improving every year. I bowl in a Tuesday trio league out at Continental Lanes, and when I first started the league, I was in the 180s, and that was probably about 6 years ago or so. And so I've gotten to 200 since then. Maybe I was even in the 170s before that. And I remember when I first started bowling, even before that, back in 2000. I think 12 was when I first started bowling in league, which was I started at Eastland. I averaged probably around 150, 160 at the time. I bowled in two leagues. I bowled in a Wednesday league and I bowled in a Friday league at the time. Now I just bowl one league on Tuesday, my wife and I do, along with our friend Murdoch. And I wanted to talk about this perfect game because, well, it's really special to me. Like I said, it was something I thought I could do in my lifetime, but I think I put too much pressure on myself to try to accomplish it, and then heck, it just finally happened. So I want to back up a bit and talk about 10 years ago. I was actually very close to getting a perfect game, and at that time, I didn't think it was possible for me at that moment to do it because my average was probably in the 160s to 170s range. So I got the first 9 frames all strikes. Everybody, this was at Eastland Bowl, by the way, which was down on Gull Road in Kalamazoo. And everybody basically stopped and was watching me. And that made me very nervous. It was hard for me to walk up to roll my ball. I had a lot of jitters in my stomachs. In my stomach, I mean. And I rolled my first ball, and it was a strike. So I had 10 in a row. Second one, I knew wasn't going to be a strike. I pulled it. I left the 6-pin, missed a spare. Ended up with a 289 game. And since then, there have been times where I'd start a game with, 4, 5 in a row, 6 in a row. I think the farthest I made it since then was maybe 7 in a row. I'd never gotten to 8 in a row. And, now let's move forward now to the prior week. I had started a game with 6 strikes in a row and then another game with 5 strikes in a row. So it was almost like it was building to this moment now, like for this past week. And I couldn't get the one in the 7th. I rolled the ball and it broke really hard. I didn't put enough speed on the ball. And then the other one, I think I'd thrown a split. I just didn't throw it right. But this one, when I started 6 in a row, or let's start talking about, let's now move to the night that I did bowl the perfect game. So let's start off by talking about the night first off, because the first couple of games were very odd games for me. Well, at least the first one was very odd. So I started with a strike, and then I had 3 open frames in a row. No indication right now I'm going to bowl a 300 tonight. Second frame, I left the 3, 6, 10. I had then the 3, 10 in the next frame, and then I had a 6-pin. My ball was breaking very hard, was not picking up the pins on the right-hand side for some reason. Then I ended up with 3 strikes in a row, had another split, a really bad one, where I had 2 on the left, 3 on the right, and then ended the game with 4 strikes in a row. So this game, I had no spares. 187, no spares. That's probably the first time I ever had a game that high with no spares. Once again, not my average, it was below my average. But I was just like, holy cow, how did I do this without having any spares? So it's like I'm throwing strikes. It just wasn't consistently or enough, I would say. Then the next game I start with 2 strikes in a row. Finally, I pick up a spare in the 3rd frame and then get 4 strikes in a row after that. So I'm hitting some streaks in here, of 4 strikes in a row that night. And like I said, the previous week, doing 5 and 6 in a row. Then I had 2 open frames, unfortunately. Missed a 7 pin, and then had the 5-7, and then ended with a strike, or spare, and a strike. So 213 that game. So it was going up. Once again, no indication that, like, hey, I'm going to bowl a 300 tonight. You know, no indication of that whatsoever. But once again, I had put some streaks together the previous week and this week as well. Start of the game, first ball I rolled. I'm like, there's no way this is going to be a strike. I missed my mark. Somehow the 7 and 8 pin both fall down. I don't know how. It was a sloppy strike. We'll say that. And, you know, when you roll a perfect game, you're going to need some divine intervention to help you, because you're not going to roll 12 strikes all right there solidly in the pocket. If you do, I mean, that's probably the greatest game ever rolled. I did not do that. I did not have 12 balls like that. Second and third frame, really good balls. Fourth frame, rolled it, and 7 pin was standing. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Turned around, getting ready to shoot my spare, turned back around. There's no pins left standing. They'd all fallen down, and then it reset. My wife Kathleen said it had fallen. The other team we were bowling against said it had fallen. I'm like, okay, well, if it fell down, then it happened. You guys witnessed it. I didn't, but there were witnesses to it. Then 5th frame, strike, and then the 6th frame, I had the 6 pin bounce off the wall to knock over the 10 pin. That was the last strike I had in that game that was not a solid strike. So after that, they were all solidly in the pocket. And once again, I hit like 6 in a row. Here we go. What am I going to do in the 7th frame? When I got that strike in the 7th frame, I was like, okay, it's on now. I am past last week. Rolled a strike in the 8th. Rolled a strike in the 9th. Both solid strikes. Good form, good release. Hit my mark. I'm just trying to, stay calm, stay relaxed, stay loose, talk to people around me. And then and the funny thing was, going back just a little bit, new coworker of mine, his name is Alex. He's his average is a little bit higher than mine, around 218. He's had perfect games before. He's had an 800 series before. And I had mentioned to him about almost rolling a perfect game 10 years ago. And he said, well, if you're ever back in that situation again, just, take an extra deep breath if you have to. And you'll be fine. And I actually want to go back just a couple of frames before the 10th. A bowler about 2 lanes over, stumbled when he rolled the ball, dropped to his knees. I'm getting ready to roll. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to put my ball back down on the rack, go through my routine again, wipe my ball, and then, take my position, take my stance, and go. And I'm glad I did that, because who knows if I would have bowled a strike otherwise there. Now, the difference was this time, we were one of the last teams done that night. There's 2 leagues that go on. There's a 5-person team league next to us, and then our 3-team league, the trio league. Mostly everybody, I think every other team, except the one we're facing, obviously, was done for the night. And there's just the 5-team leagues still going on at that point. And so I didn't feel like everyone's watching me this time. So there was a little less pressure there, I felt. And then also, when I rolled the ball in the 10th frame all 3 times, I did not feel it in my legs, where I felt like I was really shaky, that my steps were off and were bad. I could feel a little bit of stomach jitters. I just told myself, all right, 10th frame, we've been here before, let's go get it this time. And then I rolled the first ball, strike. I'm like, okay, I've been this far. Now let's see what we can do. And then when I rolled that 11th one, I was like, okay, 1 more to go. So I just went through my routine on each throw, and when I took my steps, same as I did for the other 2 strikes that frame, released the ball. Good. I no problem with the release whatsoever. It's got the speed. I hit my mark. If they fall, they fall. It's positioned exactly where it needs to be. And because you never know, maybe a 7-pin standing, a 10-pin, maybe you get unlucky and have an 8 or a 9-pin standing. Nope, they fell over. I thought maybe the 7-pin was going to stand. It was like one of the last ones to go down, but it went down. 300. I couldn't believe it. It was crazy. It took me at least 15 minutes to calm down after that, because I could really then feel all the feels on the inside. Shaking definitely after that. Giving people hugs, shaking their hands. People give me high fives, tell me good job. Wife gives me a hug. My mom gives me a hug. She's there watching too. Um, People, like I said, Murdoch gave me a hug. Casey, who bowls on our league, came over, called me a sandbagger, which was funny. Gave me a hug as well. So it was really great. It was really great. And then I'm being told how to fill out the paperwork of, what awards do you want, and filling out all your information and what ball you're using. That all went in one ear and out the other, and I'm like asking questions like, did I fill this out right afterwards? Because like I had never done this before. I mean, it was insane. I'm glad I've accomplished this feat. I would say probably the next thing I'd like to accomplish since 800 series, but I'm not going to put any pressure on myself for that. My ultimate goal was to bowl a perfect game at 300. I thought it was possible, and I've accomplished that feat. And if you haven't watched that small short clip, go back and watch it. It's 24 seconds long. Thank you to James for capturing that moment for me. It's always going to be something I'm going to keep on my phone. Always going to be something that I will remember for the rest of my life. So thank you for listening to me ramble here for 12 minutes, talking about, my perfect game and going back in history and talking about how I was close before. So thanks again for watching that. And if, you're a bowler, or, and you're looking to get that perfect game and you, are, don't try too hard for it. It'll just happen. It'll come someday. Don't worry about it. And if you want to get into bowling, join a league. Even if you're like someone who doesn't really have any friends, you'll make friends there. They'll put you on teams with maybe some people you don't know, but you'll make friends. And if you have some friends, grab them, join a league, have fun. I mean, it's a great time out there. So thank you for watching, and everyone have a great rest of your day.